Leaving a legacy is not about the size of the bank account you leave behind, but the size of the impact your presence made while you were here for the short moment that is life. It's about what echoes in the hearts and minds of people long after your time has passed. The world is full of men and women who amassed fortunes, who built empires, who gathered treasure but left no trace of their spirit, their wisdom, or their love. The truth is, money fades, investments dry up, businesses rise and fall, but character, courage, kindness, values, and the way you made others feel, these are immortal. Leaving a legacy begins with the way you live every single day. It's in how you treat the stranger who can do nothing for you. It's in how you show up for the ones who rely on you when it's inconvenient. It's in how you face adversity with resilience, how you remain calm in storms and generous in scarcity. The deepest legacy is built not through wealth, but through your words, your actions, your sacrifices, your courage, and your truth. People often think legacy is something you build later when you're older, when you have more, when you're finally ready. But the truth is, you're building it now. Every interaction, every choice, every moment is shaping what you will leave behind. We think we need to leave our children a house or a trust fund, but what they really need is to inherit strength of character, the ability to stand when others fall, the compassion to care when it's costly, the wisdom to know when to speak and when to stay silent. Teach them not by what you say, but by how you live. Show them that integrity matters more than profit, that giving matters more than getting, that peace is worth more than power. Imagine your name mentioned years after you're gone. What would people say about you? Not about what you owned, but about who you were. Would they say you lifted them up when they were down, that you believed in them when they doubted themselves, that you helped without asking for anything in return? Would they say you listened, really listened, that you inspired them to be more than they thought they could be, that you carried burdens quietly while giving hope loudly? You don't need fame to leave a legacy. You need presence, intention, and authenticity. Some of the most powerful legacies are from those who never had a title, never made headlines, but whose quiet strength changed lives. Your legacy is in the lives you touch, the values you defend, the courage you embody when the pressure is high and the light is dim. We must shift the narrative from material legacy to moral legacy, from what you own to what you stand for, from how much you've saved to how much you've served. Do your children know you love them not just in words, but in sacrifice, in time, and consistency? Do your friends know they matter not just in celebrations, but in suffering? Do the broken souls you encounter find peace in your presence? Do you live in a way that, if today was your last, the memory of you would be a light, not a shadow? We're obsessed with making an impression, but what about making a difference? The former is temporary, the latter eternal. Do you wake up with a fire to be useful, not just successful to build bridges, not just buildings to plant seeds, not just count coins? Because at the end of life, no one will ask how many properties you own, but rather how many lives you changed. No one will count your followers, but they will count the times you showed up when no one else did. We often underestimate the legacy of love, the impact of forgiveness, the legacy of second chances. How we treat the people who have failed, who have fallen, who have nothing left, says everything about our spirit. If you want to be remembered, teach someone to believe in themselves when the world says they're not enough. Stand for justice when it's unpopular. Choose truth when it's uncomfortable, and never underestimate the power of small, consistent goodness. We glorify big gestures, but legacies are made in the small moments, the bedtime stories, the handwritten notes, the encouragements, the meals shared, the apologies offered, the hands held in silence. Every legacy that ever lasted was built on one thing: the commitment to live with meaning. When you choose kindness, when you lead with humility, when you admit your flaws, when you fight for those who can't fight for themselves, you're carving your name into eternity, not into stone, but into the fabric of humanity. The greatest legacy is being someone worth remembering, not for your wealth or titles, but for your warmth and truth. This world doesn't need more millionaires. It needs more mentors, more truth tellers, more warriors of grace, more builders of souls. We think legacy is about what we leave, but really it's about what we give every day. You have the opportunity to give wisdom, strength, comfort, hope, clarity, and compassion. And the beautiful irony is, the more that you give, the more of yourself you truly leave behind. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real, about being honest enough to say, I failed, but I kept going. I broke, but I rebuilt. I feared, but I still showed up. If your story could teach one person to rise, one person to keep going, one person to believe again, then your legacy is alive. The problem is, we often think we're too small to make a big difference. But remember, oceans are made of drops, and the mightiest legacies are forged in moments when no one was watching. When no applause followed, when the reward was the smile of a child, or the thank you of a stranger, we are all writing stories with our lives. The question is, are we writing one worth reading? Are we shaping one worth sharing? You don't have to wait for permission to start. You don't need an audience or a title. What you need is heart conviction and a vision of who you want to become and what you want to stand for. Don't let the pursuit of success rob you of significance. Don't chase legacy in death. Live it in life. Be the one who loved hardest, stood tallest, gave most, and forgave fastest. Your legacy begins the moment you choose to live with purpose, to love with depth, to give with open hands and lead with an open heart. Don't be remembered for the things you built, but for the people you built. Don't be admired for the car you drove, but for the storms you walked others through. Live in such a way that when your time ends, the world doesn't just mourn, it changes. Because you were here, people may forget your words, but they won't forget your energy, your light, your presence. Make sure it speaks of love, truth, and strength. The question isn't what will you leave, but who will you lift? What lives will you touch? What hearts will you heal? Legacy is not a destination. It's a direction. Every step you take can leave a footprint for others to follow. Leave one worth walking in. Legacy isn't about how many people know your name, but how many people whisper your values in their actions. It's not about being remembered by millions. It's about being remembered deeply by a few. It's about raising a child who stands for what's right. Even when it's hard, it's about mentoring someone who thinks they can't and showing them they can. It's about apologizing when you failed and teaching others that humility is power. We often forget that some of the most powerful legacies were shaped in suffering, not comfort, because adversity reveals who we truly are. It chisels our spirit and refines our purpose. When you face darkness and still choose to be a light, when you experience loss. But give love anyway. You are creating a legacy that no fire can burn and no time can erase. When you stand back up after being knocked down, not with bitterness, but with compassion. You're showing the world what strength truly looks like, and the ones who watch you rise, they'll never forget it. Your legacy is not in the applause, but in the unseen sacrifices, in the decisions no one thanks you for, in the times you bite your tongue to keep peace, in the moments you stay when it would be easier to run. What kind of legacy do you build when you forgive the unforgivable? When you love the unlovable? When you believe in the impossible? You show others that it's possible too, and that changes everything. We were not meant to simply consume. We were created to contribute, to build, to love, to lift, to leave this world just a little better than we found it. Too many chase temporary pleasure and miss eternal purpose. Legacy doesn't start when you die. It begins when you decide to live differently, when you look in the mirror and say, I will not waste this life. I will not pass through this world unnoticed. I will make sure my presence builds others, not breaks them. Your legacy may be the child you raise, or the stranger you helped, or the wisdom you passed down in a single sentence that someone carries forever. Your legacy is the garden you plant that blooms long after you're gone. The lives you touch become the roots of your story. The kindness you give becomes the fruit of your existence. People will forget your status. They will forget your trophies, but they will never forget how they felt around you. Be the one who made others feel safe, seen, and loved. What if instead of building monuments, we built men and women? What if instead of chasing likes, we chased integrity? What if instead of accumulating things, we accumulated impact? Every time you act with courage, when it's easier to hide, you add to your legacy. Every time you choose compassion over judgment, love over pride, truth over comfort, you are building something that will outlast you. The question is not, will you leave a legacy? The question is, what kind you will leave, because you will leave something. The only question is, will it inspire or will it disappear when you walk into a room? Do people feel lighter because you're there when you speak? Do your words bring life, or do they leave wounds? When you're gone, will the silence echo with your wisdom, or be filled with regret of what could have been? The time to build is now, not tomorrow. Not when you have more, not when you feel ready, but now. The moments are passing, the clock is ticking, and every second you hesitate is a second. You could be making history in the heart of another. Choose to show up, not perfect, but real, not flawless, but faithful. Don't wait until you're great to give. Give now, and the greatness will follow, because giving is the seed of legacy, and love is the water that makes it grow. The greatest legacies are built on ordinary days with extraordinary choices when you choose to be present. When you say yes to someone in pain, when you say no to something that compromises your soul, when you stay true in a world addicted to lies. You are leaving a mark, one that no storm can erase. We idolize the successful, but forget the impactful. The single mother who raised strong children, the teacher who believed in the broken, the janitor who whistled hope into the halls every day. These are the builders of legacy. They may never be known by the world, but their impact outlives generations. And that is the kind of legacy worth striving for. You don't need wealth to be wealthy in spirit. You don't need recognition to be remembered. The ones who change the world are not always the loudest. They're often the quiet strength behind the scenes, the silent warriors who show up every day without fanfare but with fire in their souls. If you want to leave something behind that matters, leave love in your wake, leave strength in your silence. Leave honor in your choices. Your life is not measured by how long you live, but by how deeply you love, by how boldly you give, by how fiercely you stand for something that matters. When everyone else sits, your legacy is not in the moments that are easy, but in the moments that test you, when you remain faithful to what's right, despite the pressure, despite the fear, despite the temptation to quit. That is when your story becomes a lighthouse for others in the storm. The world remembers the light, not the lampshade. They remember how you made them feel, how you helped them grow, how you believed when they couldn't see. You want to leave something behind? Give your truth, give your lessons, give your scars. Let people know you've been through the fire and still chose love. That's a legacy that heals others. Even after you're gone, your life should not be a trophy to polish, but a torch to pass. Teach your children to be brave. Not just rich, to be kind. Not just clever, to be honorable. Not just admired. Let them see you fall and get back up, not to impress them, but to prepare them for life. Show them that legacy is not a destination, but a direction. That every small act of courage, every word of truth, every quiet act of love is a brick and foundation of something eternal. Don't live for comfort. Live for contribution. Don't aim to be liked. Aim to be lasting. Don't seek to be seen. Seek to serve. Because when all is said and done, it won't be your name on a building that echoes in time. It will be the lives you've transformed, the chains you've broken, the hope you've restored. So live now, live full, live, open and fierce and kind. Give all that you are so that when your time comes, you leave this earth not with regret, but with a smile, knowing you gave your all. Loved your deepest and lifted as many as you could before the curtain fell and the legacy began. You are not defined by what you leave in your will, but by what you leave in their hearts, the touch of your words, the tone of your presence, the memory of your resilience, and the echo of your beliefs will carry on longer than any trust fund. Your values are your true inheritance to the world. We are born into a world already spinning with narratives. But legacy begins when you write your own, when you reject apathy and choose purpose, when you stop surviving and start serving. When you use the hurt in your past to heal the pain in someone else's present. The legacy you leave may not be seen in headlines, but it will be heard in the voice of a son who speaks with courage because he saw his father stand for truth. It will be felt in the quiet determination of a daughter who saw her mother carry burdens with grace. It will live in the decisions of those who watched you and learned that integrity is worth more than applause. You are a ripple in the waters of time, but you decide whether you'll be a fleeting wave or a lasting current. Legacies are not just made in palaces. They're made in kitchens, classrooms, factories, battlefields, and living rooms. They're shaped by the ones who chose principle over comfort, who did the right thing when no one was watching, who stayed when leaving would have been easier, who forgave when hate seemed easier. Legacy is made when you choose growth over comfort, discipline over pleasure, and impact over image. It's made when you pour your life into building people, not platforms, when you value wisdom more than wealth, when you decide your pain will not be wasted but repurposed to build bridges for others to cross. The future is waiting for your story, not just your success, but your scars, your lessons, your truth, your love. Don't hold back. The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your passion, your presence, your persistence. We live in an age of distraction, but legacy is about attention, paying attention to the needs around you. The struggles no one talks about, the silent cries of the forgotten, and the gifts within yourself that you've been afraid to release. Unleash them now. Let the world taste your truth. Hear your fire, feel your compassion, and be transformed by your existence. We often wonder what will matter when all is said and done, but deep down we know it's not things. It's people, not fame, but faithfulness, not praise, but presence. Your legacy is in your consistency, your courage to keep going when everything inside you screams to stop. The ones who remember you will not be the ones you impressed, but the ones you invested in. Your grandchildren won't tell stories about your salary. They'll tell stories about your sacrifices, the way you made them feel safe, the way your eyes lit up when they walked in the room, the way you taught them to love deeply and live bravely. Don't just build wealth, build wisdom. Don't just plan your estate plan, your example when people stand over your grave. Let them weep not because of what the world lost, but because of what it gained through your life. Too many live to be remembered by the world and forgotten by their own family. Live in such a way that those who knew you best loved you most, and those who knew you least were still changed by you. You are building a cathedral every time you choose love over pride, every time you choose hope over despair, every time you lift someone up instead of putting them down. Each moment is a brick, each action a beam, each word a window into your legacy. Let it be filled with light. Don't be afraid of obscurity. Some of the brightest stars are never seen with the naked eye, but they guide sailors across oceans. Your quiet consistency may guide someone through a storm. Your gentle faithfulness may restore someone's hope. Your steady truth may anchor someone drifting through chaos. Build your life not for applause, but for purpose, not for fame, but for fruit. Your impact will be felt in the lives of those who rise because of your example, who dare because of your faith, who love because of your grace. Your name may not be written in history books, but if it's written on the hearts of those you've lifted, you've won. You have one chance at this life, one brief, beautiful opportunity to carve something eternal into the souls of others. Don't squander it on petty things, on chasing shadows, on feeding ego at the cost of essence. Every act of love is an echo into eternity. Every life it touched is a seed that will blossom long after you're gone. Be intentional with your time, your words, your presence. Don't underestimate your story, your struggle, or your voice. Someone needs what you have. Someone is waiting for the wisdom you carry, for the courage you've cultivated, for the love you hold. Let them see it. Don't hide the legacy you are shaping. Live boldly so that others might live freer because you existed. Fight for your legacy, like your soul depends on it. Because in many ways it does. It's not about reaching the top, it's about reaching people. It's not about how much you leave behind, but how deeply you lived while you were here. The measure of your life will not be in square footage, but in soul depth. Not in returns, but in redemption. Not in luxury, but in love. The world does not need more powerful people. It needs more present people, awake to the moment, alive to their calling, attuned to the suffering and ready to serve. Choose to be one of them. Let your life roar, not in noise, but in meaning and mercy, in mission. Be the answer to someone's prayer, the shoulder to someone's storm, the light in someone's night, the legacy in someone's silence. It starts now, not after retirement, not after perfection, not after you feel ready, but now. Begin today. Begin with love, with truth, with grit, with grace. Begin building not for the crowd, but for the Creator, for your children, for the future you'll never see, but will have shaped with every choice, every step, every act of quiet, radical love. You want to leave a legacy. Start by living a life you would admire live, so that the generations that come after you will walk taller, will stand stronger, will dream wilder, because you showed them how. Don't waste time wondering if it matters. Everything matters when it comes from the heart, when it's offered in faith, when it's lived in truth. You were not born to fade. You were born to flame, to forge, to feed the future with fire and hope. You are the bridge. Someone will cross the voice. Someone will remember the example. Someone will emulate, and the love someone will carry long after your name is spoken. Let that be your legacy and live it now.